With the midterms just a month away, control of the U.S. Senate hangs in the balance. Republicans only need one seat in the Senate to regain control for the remainder of President Biden's term. Wisconsin's Senate race is one of the most closely watched, and that's where Judy Woodruff has spent the last few days. She joins us now from Madison. It's great to see you. Thanks for being with us. So, Judy, as you well know, Wisconsin is a state known for close elections. So how is this one shaping up?
That's right, Jeff. The last few presidential elections here in Wisconsin have been razor close, and this race this year between the Democratic challenger, 35-year-old Mandela Barnes, the lieutenant governor, who's going against the incumbent Republican Senator Ron Johnson, looking no different. The polls we've seen in the last few days, in fact, one out just today by CBS, shows them just a point apart, so effectively tied. In the airwaves here in the Badger State, filled with negative ads, each side aiming at the other, reflecting record amounts of money that are being spent in this campaign, more than half of it coming from outside the state, which reflects the stakes this year with the Senate evenly split. For his part, Ron Johnson has been seen as vulnerable because he is a big supporter of former President Trump. He has defended the former president's actions on January the 6th. He's called the insurrectionists who attacked the Capitol that day, quote, largely peaceful. He's also been strongly pro-life. He's been for tightening abortion restrictions. And in a year when women voters in particular are energized by the Supreme Court decision overturning Roe v. Wade, it was felt by many that this would be a good year for Democrats to turn out their vote. However, as we get closer to this election, there are other issues that are coming to the fore that have Republicans feeling more confident.
Yeah, and we know nationally that Republicans are stressing the issues of crime and public safety. How is that playing out there in Wisconsin?
Well, Johnson and the outside groups who are supporting him are zeroing in particular, on what Mandela Barnes said and his social media postings in the aftermath of the murder of George Floyd in 2020, focusing on what he said about defunding or reducing funding for the police and for abolishing ICE, which, of course, is a federal agency charged with policing the border. Barnes has pushed back. He has tried to put what he said in context, and he's tried to turn the attention back to Ron Johnson and talking about his actions in support of the insurrectionists on January 6th. But Barnes has also had to deal with relentless advertising by Republicans, framing him as dangerous, someone who would take the state in a direction where voters wouldn't be safe. I caught up with Mandela Barnes yesterday in Milwaukee and asked him about it, and here's part of what he said.
Ron Johnson is always using fear tactics because he can't run on his own record. From day one, we set out to build a broad coalition that encompassed the whole, not just the whole of the party, but the whole of this state. Our coalition includes family farmers, hardworking people right in the inner city, independents, you name it, even Republicans who are frustrated by Ron Johnson. Like, this is a broad coalition that truly represents Wisconsin. The issues we're taking on, they're not even left or right, red or blue. It's about people who've been at the top like Ron Johnson, the people he leaves behind.
And Jeff, we have tried to, of course, to talk with Ron Johnson, but his campaign has not responded, and they've not shared his campaign schedule.
So, Judy, what kinds of things are you hearing from voters as you travel across Wisconsin?
Well, you do hear both voters and the experts we've spoken with say they believe this is turning increasingly into a campaign based on fear, that both campaigns are relentlessly talking about how the other side, the other party, would take the state in a different direction and would change their daily lives in a way that would not be what voters want, of course. So you hear these refrains in ads, you hear the candidates talking about it, how radical the other side is. But I will also tell you, Jeff, that we've spoken with voters, some of whom say they'd like to see the parties work together. They'd like to see more unity in American politics. One voter we spoke with said, he said, right now we only have 3 or 4 senators out of 100 who are even willing to work with the other party, which is crucial in getting legislation passed. And he said, I'd like to see that at 20 or 25 members of the Senate.
Yeah. Judy Woodruff reporting tonight in Madison, Wisconsin.
Thank you, Jeff.